Alright, part 2. Remington Rustler RM2510. This is the one we done part 1. We tried to get it to start. We had an issue with the string on the pull cord. And this problem I had the first time when we originally got it. This is how the string was. And when I brought it down here to work the first time, as soon as I set it down, it sucked the string in. So you got to figure out what's going on. Because if you've seen part 1, you can see after a couple of pulls of trying to get it fired up, this is what we ended up with. So this one seems to me like it's like the other ones were. You got to take the engine assembly out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it out. So there's probably 4 or 5 screws to hold this plastic on. It'd probably be easiest with the, you can see there, the throttle cable, the style that it has. It'd probably be easiest to just take the carburetor off. It's only a couple screws, and then you got a couple screws here. Hold that plastic piece on that this is hooked to. So we'll take it off, get it out of the way, and there's probably 4 or 5 screws in the front of the housing. And give my guess there's 4 or 5 anyhow, like going around the front right here. Then the engine assembly should slide out the back. So that's what we're going to do. They are probably a T20 or a T25 or a combination of both. And so that's the game plan. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So first I'll remove the back half and get the carb out of the way, the black plastic piece out of the way, and then I'll get the screws in the front and we'll slide the engine assembly out. So I'll do that real quick, so I got to bore you guys with it. It's probably a total of 14 screws total, counting the carburetor. So it's nothing to it. Alright, here's what we got. Now the funny thing, well not funny, it could be bad. You can see how bright that orange, that used to be like a color of a steel. You can see where it's all faded. But when I was taking these out, I got a couple of, since I took one of the main screws out, it clicked and pulled up the majority of the string. And then when I just pulled this last one out to slide it away from the shaft, you heard something click, almost sounded like it broke, and it pulled the string straight in. So I don't know what we got going on here. Let me get this shaft out of the way. One less thing in the way. And we can focus on what we're doing here. So you don't want to lose any of your screws. I went ahead and took the tank off. It's only 2 screws just to get it out of the way of the plastic. It's just these 2 screws down here at the bottom. And should be good. Hopefully it'll fall out the back. I don't think I missed any screws. So, looks like to get it to go all the way. The shaft has to come off. I don't think I have anything to hold that still. Can try. Let's see if it's got it. Let's see if it's got a notch in it. It's not even really, there it goes, it finally engaged, but it looks like there's a piece behind it that's actually, it's out of place. So we'll have to figure out here. This one is a new one for me. Usually you have, well, it's a good time if you need to inspect the inside, you can on your crank and rod assembly. Everything does actually look good, but you need something to hold the shaft still. Crank this out and it should slide out the back. Now I don't know if it'll work or not, because most of them I've ever had, you really don't have this problem. I know you don't want to stick anything down in here where it turns. That's your fans to circulate the air. And so we'll have to look and see. Now it comes down to where if it's, I know some people have taken, you take the plug out, and I'll try it, just see if it works. I have to find some string. What you do is you take your plug out and you can stuff string down in there, and then when you crank it, it'll bring your piston up and then push it up against that rope and keep it from going any farther, and let you crack that loose. So yeah, if it'll work, great. If not, I'll be costing myself a trimmer motor. So let me find some trim or some string. I think I got some, and we'll set it up and see how well it works. Alright, we got the cylinder. I found some nylon string, packed in there with as much as I could get. And get this out of the way. Now, the closest wrench I have to fit in this is a 19mm. I don't have any, I prefer to use a socket, but I don't have any that's that deep. Now, the problem I got is I can't recall if these are standard thread or reverse thread, so I'm going to try standard thread first. If it doesn't seem to come loose, then I'll try it backwards. And it's not going to do nothing that way, so we'll try it to the right. I hope we don't break it. Came loose or slipped, one or the other. Something gave. I think it's compressing the string, actually. Nope. Don't judge, man. I've never done this before, so. Oh, did it hit it? Or is it spinning? Can't tell. I think it might have just been turning over. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. So, I guess I'll have to fight with it. So I can't access the pull string without getting this off, so we can inspect the spool and the spring behind it to see what's going on. So I'll fight with it and I'll let you know how it goes. Alright, after some back and forth both ways, it did finally crack loose. I don't know how long this shaft is, but it's coming off. So it was with the motor, it'd be with the front of the motor facing you. It turns to the left. So once this is off, we should be able to slide the engine assembly out the back of this plastic housing. Alright, I think I have it figured out. So maybe this plastic piece is just wore out, or something's just in the whole mechanism is just loose. So the way it looks to me is this sets over it. Oh, make sure I got it the right way. Yeah, so it would sit, looks like it sits onto the plastic this way, which would be like this. So that goes down, but I'm wondering, and I'm pretty sure that when that coil's tensioned up, it actually sets inside this metal disc, and our notch right here, so when it's inside the metal disc, you can see the end of the spring, so it'll be centered. You can see the, kind of see it. It's like right above my finger right there. Let me take it out and I'll show you. This piece right here, the spring actually fits into this notch. So when it's sitting down in there, so I have to do is get it coiled up. Well, yeah. So I was thinking, so that's why it has the notch. So something got on the way I'm taking it, something came loose, this came up, that's why it was flopping around. And so it looks like I need to set the tension on the spring. This goes over the spring. This notch here sets, I can get some light on this freaking thing. The one part of the recoil is right here. It goes up You can see where it goes into the plastic right there. So this part, where that notch is at, sets in here over the spring. Has tension, so this will drop down, so the whole coil spring sets inside this when it drops down. So when it's in place, then your plastic goes in and it grabs hold of the other end, and then so when this comes into play, sets in like so. So it'll drop in like that. This one drops in like this. It goes down. Then this goes in to hold everything in place. So my guess is something's going on with this. Let everything back up. When it backed up, it let the recoil come loose, and we're in the situation we're in now. So the trick is going to be getting this wound down to where this is going to fit over it. So I'm gonna sit here and fight with that, because these, man, I've fought with these before and it seems like it takes forever. They can be a handful, so I ain't gonna sit here and waste your time fighting with it, but I'll do the best I can to get it wound up. And the only way I know to do it is just to keep taking it around, taking it around till you get it where you need it small enough to drop that over it. You could probably take it off and then wound it to where it fits into here, put it through, and then possibly drop it in place. So I'll try it. I'll let you know which way worked best. Well, first attempt, I'm off by a few inches. I have to wound it a little tighter. I'm just wrapping it by hand, getting it small enough where to fit in here, but put it in and was off by, I don't know, got about 4 inches, 5 inches there. So round 2. Ta-da! Actually, I didn't figure out how to do it. My wife did. It's her idea. I apparently was doing it wrong. I was trying to curl it. I was hanging to the inside and wrapping it, and then setting it on the disc, and couldn't get it to line up perfectly. So her idea was to do it the opposite. So what I done was started this end where it hooks into the plastic, dropped it into the silver ring, and then, which it went together so easy, that might be the way it's supposed to work. I don't know. Guy's saying this is a first for me, but drop that end in, and then just started filling it in inside the silver ring, and it was like perfect. Went straight in, dropped right down in. So what I want to do is get this back together, at least this piece, because I had to walk away from it. I started getting aggravated. I honestly started getting aggravated. I had to walk away from it, and so I'm trying jumping ahead of myself here. Trying to remember how this exactly went. Freaking fly. But yeah, honestly I did. I had to walk away from it because I started feeling myself getting really aggravated with it. So I figured, alright, when that happens, set it down, walk away, find something to do, get your mind off of it. And so that's what I did. Seemed to help. Took it up there, and it took, once she came up with that idea, I'm telling you, it took like less than 5 minutes, and blam, there it was. So kudos to her. Thank you very much, woman. And what did I do with the other piece? I lost the piece. I just want to get this back together because I'm so afraid that it's going to fly apart on me. And there's trying to find the other piece with the springs, and I actually think I took it upstairs and I forgot to bring it back down, so I shall return. Alright, so finally it's in there. So the plastic piece drops onto the bottom for the loop part. The coil has a notch, it goes down, then this part goes down, fits into that little notch. Hope I'm doing this right. That one goes in, then this one has that notch. So go in that curved part. So we're good. You gotta make sure your string's out. Yes, I probably should have put a longer piece of string on this. It's not that hard to do, so if I gotta go back, I gotta go back. No big deal. Now this cover, I believe, goes on next. It's got the 2 holes at the bottom 2 holes at the bottom, and you can see where it's bent. That goes down. It's got a groove at the top. It has to fit in, then sit down. And then straight. So just like that. So it sits right under there, like so. This one had the 2 silver screws in it. So I'll run them back in real quick. And this is the part. Oh, come on. That I wasn't sure about. This is where that metal ring comes into place. Okay, so that holds all that in, right? Right. So, this little doodad works basically like, I don't know, I want to compare it to a lock washer, but that, you can see how it just sits on there, how it's got the grooves, like so. So once it's pressed down, it can't, it's not supposed to be able to back off. So, one of these, where's that big one at? Thought I had a bigger one. Here it is. That's it. So what we're going to do, so that should work. So I'm going to plan, set that on there, straight as I can. It's not deep. Well, I go from this side. Yeah, idiot. Trying to rush it. So you don't rush nothing. Yeah, you will. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'll have to have a socket, which this one, what is this one? This work? It's got a couple sockets here. That one's a little too big. Yeah, this should probably work. What size is that? 9/16 half-inch drive. So I'm going to try that. Well, I guess I could try to make sure it fits over the plastic, which it does not. Glad I didn't go with it. What do we got here? 5/8. There we go. 5/8 deep well. And as straight as we can. And what really sucks is I don't have for whatever reason, I just realized I do not have a hammer down here. So, next best thing, half-inch drive ratchet. Blam. I think that's it. And everything's still turning, yay. So there we go, you can see how it went down on it. A couple, you ain't got to beat it to death, just enough to get it to go down, but I'm hoping that ring holds. When we took this apart, that ring was out of place, so I'm hoping, God, I hope that was the problem. So that ring was out of place, it was letting all that slop in there and everything moving around, so the whole mechanism wasn't working right. So now, we have our string. Since it's locked in, we got the cover on. I'm going to pull it smooth. In here, I don't know. You can kind of hear the recoil in there flopping around. Nope, there it went. So we definitely have an issue somewhere because it just done the same thing again. So our coil return, whatever you want to call it in there, definitely has a problem. It is, I bet it's, for some reason it's popping loose from that plastic spool. So I hate to drag this video out on you guys. It may end up being a we'll see, this may end up being a, God, I hate doing part after part, but I like being accurate. I don't like giving you guys bad information. So let's take a quick peek, see if we can kind of narrow down what the problem might be. Yeah, you can kind of hear it. It's not grabbing hold of the spring on the inside like it should be. I think it's bouncing outside of the plastic spool. I don't know how many times you can reuse this thing. I don't even know if I can actually get it to come off without screwing it up. I wish I could get it to... Yeah, it's all jacked. Alright, well, maybe. Nope, rocket made it down here. It's all plastic, so that's why I'm leery. I'm afraid of breaking it because everything is plastic. So it's got me a little hesitant on breaking something. Can't really get through the front, you know, to try to. I don't have a tool I can use to get a hold of it to collapse it. There we go. It's starting to come off. Oh, that was close. Almost lost it. So there we go. That was close. Watch your eyeballs. All right, take it apart again. So this is where that coil sits at. For some reason, maybe it needs bent. Could possibly be it. As you can see it when you go to put it in, it has a notch on the inside. Well, the notch right there, you can see it from the inside. You can see that part of the spring to be able to line it up. Get the string out of the way. Bound up on us. Maybe that needs bent. Yeah, see it's in it now. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I can see the spring on the inside. You can see it moving underneath the plastic. So for some reason it acts like it's popping away from the plastic possibly. So what I'm wondering is if we tweak it to where it's almost touching the post, if that'll be enough to hold it in place. That or it could just be, you know, needing a new setup altogether. I don't know. I know I definitely don't have one. So, see if we can give it a little bit of a turn here. There we go. That put it right up by the post. Let's try that. Wish I really had some more string, but we're going to go with it. Trial and error, man. What doing? Oh, got it. The string's bound up. There we go. Catch it. Okay, so we're on it. Alright, so the only thing I can say is throw it back together. If it does it again, my guess is it needs a new spring setup. But I could be totally wrong. Alright, let's get this back in. It goes under the notch. Or someone had a part and something's missing, I don't know. But we'll get our string out. Yep. Okay, so we got our string. Alright, let's drive that back down again. There's our socket. Give her a couple of love taps. And a couple more love taps. Straight or straight. Alright. Alright, screws back in. I don't know. That's an awful lot of work. Oop, wrong screw. For something we don't even know if it runs. It fired off in the first video. It idled out what gas we put in the carb anyway, so then we ran into this issue. So there's a hole in the top, but there's no threads, no nothing, it's just there. It's actually for the front right here. When the after the engine assembly's back in, the black cover that slides on has a screw that goes into that. So That's what that's for. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, let's try this again. So here's our top. There we go. I wish I had more string. It seems smooth now. I wish I had more string though. This goes on. That is what sets right here. Get off me, fly. That's what sets right here. That's what your string rides do. Get it where you guys can see it. That aluminum piece. This one sets right there. Keeps you from tearing your string up. Helps you keep it from tearing it up. So it sets in just like that. And then when you have your black cover at the shaft and everything, all that goes on, it has a notch where it fits over that. So I think we might be good. I hope. I mean, it seems smooth. So I'll reassemble it and we'll go from there. And so you just reassemble it just like you disassembled it. I won't hold you guys up with that. So it's just like how you took everything out, all the screws and all that off, the piece we fought with here. So I'll get all that back on and then we'll see what happens. Alright, now that all that madness is taken care of, we can address this carburetor real quick. So we went out and tried to start it. I did notice afterwards when the video was done that the primer, it is pushing, but it is leaking at the same time. So somewhere right here at the top, it has a pinhole in it. It's not the end of the world. Easy fix. All you need is a Phillips screwdriver and a new, some people call them purge ball, some call them primer, whatever works for you. This one's going to lose a little bit of fuel, so I'll get a rag down here. It's got some in it. It's not the end of the world. The good thing about this is, since we're doing this, we'll take the top off, and when you take the top off, be careful not to lose your gasket or break your gasket. Since we're taking it out, you can check, I'll show you once I get it off, the screen to make sure you don't have a bunch of funk down in it, which this one actually looks relatively clean. If you look on your carburetor right here, I'll try to show you. This hole right here above my thumb, you want to look in there and make sure. This one looks pretty good. Sometimes you'll get them, you pop that off. If you ever go to change them, just take this, it only takes a second, take it off, make sure everything's clean. Make sure you'll get sediment in there and it'll block that screen up. You block that screen up, you're not going to get any flow, because right below this is the diaphragm and the needle. So, it only takes a second to check it. It's a second well spent. So that one looks to be in good shape. And what you can also do is take the, I'm going to try to start it without doing it, but you can take these 4 screws out, and you got your diaphragms right there. Take this off, take the diaphragm out, and you can put a drop of gas and right there, open that needle up, and just to make sure that fuel flows down through it. But we're going to try it. Everything looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. So get that back on. Here's our new one. Put that on there, pop our old one out. Back on there. 2 screws. And just like that, you have a brand new one. So make sure you get it tight. If you don't get it tight, it can suck air around it. It can cause it to leak gas. If you have bad fuel lines, you're going to find out doing this. Because a lot of times, moving them around, moving this carb around with it being on hook like that, just flopping around, You got old brittle lines, I guarantee it'll snap them off. Throttle linkage back on there. Okay, well, sit right there for me. Actually, let's lay it on its side. Make it a little bit easier. Less stress on parts. Stay. Alright, so we got the 2 screws. This one doesn't have a gasket on the back. If you can still see it. This one has, it's a rubber seal. It goes on there. Make sure you have that rubber seal. There are 2 screws in there. Everything's good. Get our cable hooked up. Come on, little fella. There we go. I think that one takes the bigger bit. Just fit it. Oh, that's too big. That's probably a T20. 25 maybe. This one's a little small. You can use a flathead as well. If this is good enough to get it started, I'll go ahead and use a flathead to torque it down. Don't go all crazy on it. Just want to get it good, just good and tight. You don't want to overdo it. There we go. Takes care of that. Make sure. You guys see what I done? Put it on upside down. Take your time, man. Take your time. That's what I tell people, man. That's why I never edit anything. Makes my videos longer compared to everybody else, but man, you get to see the real mistakes that happen. Easy fix. Alright, let's do this again. Our air filter's still good. There we go. Air filter's still in good shape, so I'm going to leave it. Bam! Make sure everything works. Make sure your throttle's moving. Make sure you don't forget your on and off switch. I would have showed you that, but it's the same thing as taking it apart. You just hook your 2 wires up. Once you get them on, just take your fingers, push it in, it'll pop straight into place for you. Make sure everything's still moving. Make sure your throttle's still moving. So technically all we need to do is put fuel in this sucker and see what it does. I'll try the... Yeah, so it's already pulling up. There's just a... I'm surprised it even had enough to pull that up. It should have been about... Yeah, just enough to hit the filter. So, only thing left for me to do is take it out and pray it'll start. Pray the spring, the spring, holds together. But, yeah, what I can do, give me a second and I'll see if I can get it to fire off. Alright, that's one thing I do not recommend doing if you're inside. I mean, if you're inside the garage with your garage door open is one thing, but I'm down in the basement. This, don't worry about carbon monoxide, stuff like that. I have an exhaust fan, but I don't have it set up yet. So what I'm going to do, I just want to see if everything's working. I filled the tank up. Just mainly wanting to make sure nothing's leaking, so no gas. I just want to see if it'll fire off. If it fires off, I'll shut it off, and then it'll go outside to see ultimately if it'll run. Try choking it. It definitely needs a longer cord. Try to get some more fuel in the system. And we're not getting enough. It's pulling, but I'm actually only getting it to, I'm only getting like this much pull out of it, so I'm getting about 6 inches, enough to turn it over twice, I think. Something like that. Right around 2.5 times it's only turning over, so Probably not enough for this old dog. Yeah. So ultimately it's going to need rope, but we can try this just to see if it'll take off. Let's try. I'll drop some fuel down its throat and we'll see what happens. If it tries to do more than idle, then I'm going to shut it off. I don't want it running down here, taking a chance of getting, you know, a house full of fumes. My wife will not be happy. I won't be happy either. It's going to make us sick. Alright. Fingers crossed. I still think it needs new rope. Yeah, we're not getting enough. Yeah, there's not enough rope. So ultimately, for me to get this to run, I'll have to take this, disassemble it. Basically the same way we just done it, disassemble it, get it down in there to the spool, add more string to it, because it's only enough to get it turned over a couple times. So with this old dog, it's just not enough. It's old. It's not old. This thing's actually a 2019, so that's what, 5 years old. Yeah, 5 years old. So it should have took off. I just don't think we're getting enough, but I don't know. Part 2 fell again. But stay tuned. Alright, that'll do it. Keep an eye out for the next one. We'll get part 3. Hopefully part 3 it'll be running.